Think Squad is made possible by AT&T, investing to bring wired and wireless internet to America's communities, because the future has always been our business. AT&T, your world delivered. The American Honda Foundation, a proud sponsor of Detroit Public Television's Think Squad project and committed since 1984 to improving science and math education for youth across America. To learn more, go to www.foundation.honda.com. And from contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thanks.
People say science can be a real drag. I say that's just because they don't have the right support. I'm Alexis. I'm the leader of the Think Squad. We help kids solve problems, all kinds of problems. I've got a good team. There's Christopher. He's my right-hand man. He doesn't say much, but he misses even less. If there's something worth knowing, it ends up on his clipboard. Then there's Cameron. She's a reporter for the school news. During her interviews, she always finds a way to slip in a few extra questions for me. And when it's time to test that hypothesis, that's where Gary comes in. If he's not building something, he's probably taking it apart. Luckily, Sam's around to make sure he doesn't blow his goggles off. But don't get to thinking we're here to do your homework for you. No way. We provide the method. You provide the conclusions. We'll even fire up the think tank to help you sort everything out. What's the think tank? Don't worry, you'll find out. Just call the Think Squad. There's no problem we can help you solve.
Y News. I got an anonymous tip. Someone said they found something out here that they thought was worth a news story.
I guess you could say I found something. So where's your crew?
Well, from the sound of it, this tip seemed like it might require a little investigation first. So what's your problem?
Well, I think if you could see it, it would be pretty obvious.
Okay, so where is it?
Well, that's my first problem. I don't have it. Look, I'm sorry, I'm just a little freaked out right now.
That's no mystery, but I'm starting to wonder why.
Well, you see this river?
It's kind of hard to miss.
Well, this is my spot. I come here on the weekends to fish. Have ever since I was a little kid. Fishing's not as great as it used to be, especially for these last couple of years. But
what?
But the other day I was out here. I wasn't catching anything, as usual. And then
What?
I did catch something.
And?
It was something I couldn't explain.
And?
I think it was an alien. Is that worth a Y News story?
I don't know. But the Think Squad will definitely take your case.
He actually caught this.
Can you blame him for dropping it?
You don't actually buy this alien business, do you?
Why not? Who's to say it's not what he says it is?
And I say there's no scientific evidence to suggest that aliens exist. at least on Earth anyway.
Just like there's no scientific evidence to suggest that they don't exist, which I think is where we come in.
Oh, so we're proving the existence of extraterrestrials now. I see.
You know, I think you of all people would jump at the chance to do a little alien hunting.
I'm a man of science. Don't you think with all the cameras in the world, somebody would have snapped at least one photo by now?
There are a lot of things on the news that really happen, and yet most of the time, reporters don't get the actual evidence on camera.
Call me when you two are ready to return to this planet.
Not so fast. There are a lot of things it could be, and I'm willing to give the client the benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise. You guys know the drill. We establish a problem.
The creature walks among us.
We observe the data in the field.
Think this will get me into Area 51?
We formulate a hypothesis based on what we find out,
I wonder if Think Tank has seen an alien.
and we test it.
But first, let's see what the experts have to say.
Hello everyone, I'm Roland.
And I'm Marjani. It's time for another close encounter with the scientific world around you. Your Y News update starts right now. If you ever looked out your window for bright lights in a night sky, you've probably wondered if a visit from otherworldly travelers is something you'll ever experience. But is the sky the only place we should be watching?
While most of us associate the idea of aliens with little green men from other planets light years away, the idea of an alien invasion is just not something we should say for science fiction. In fact, it's something that happens every day in ecosystems all over the world.
Don't worry, no need to panic about a War of the Worlds just yet. The dictionary defines an alien as anything not native to a specific place that, given a certain amount of exposure, may prove incompatible and even harmful to the environment it moves to.
So does that mean there could be aliens right in your own backyard, even if they're not from another planet?
We sent Star Y News reporter Cameron into the field to find that answer.
Thanks, guys. It's no secret the world is full of all kinds of species, including us. So how do we know which kinds should and shouldn't be here or there? I'm here at the Rochester Hills Environmental Education Center to meet with someone whose job it is to know about life on our planet. I met with Laura Douglas, the Environmental Center staff assistant, to learn more about invasive species. Laura grew up in Rochester Hills and graduated from Oakland University with a Bachelor of Science degree in Environmental Science. She currently teaches visitors to the Environmental Education Center about the world of plants, trees, and animals outside their back door, and is certified as a Michigan Conservation Steward by Michigan State University Extension. And when she's not giving tours or leading classes, she's helping to field phone calls from local residents about strange and unidentified backyard phenomenon, which led to a few questions about some of her alien encounters.
A snake in Michigan.
Wow. So what exactly is it that you do here?
Oh, we do a variety of different things. We see a lot of school groups, pre-K up to high school. We kind of act as a clearinghouse of information for people, from animals to plants to crazy questions they might have, or they're not so crazy to them, but they're concerned about what might be in their yard.
And what does that have to do with different species?
A lot of our animals here are native to Michigan. We like to keep them native to our area so that when people come and see them, they know what they look like. For example, we have a coyote in the other room that is stuffed, that lots of people confuse them with German shepherds or other large dogs, and they can come here and they can actually see what it looks like. If they see a snake in their yard, they can come here and see if it's a water snake or a garter snake. So we also do a lot of that too. A lot of different phone calls from people, from tracks they might find out in their yard and they think there's a large cat, and we have to go out and we'll actually look for them because some people do get really panicked about things that they find outside. And usually it's just tracks that have been frozen and then they thaw, and so they look bigger than they are, and so usually it's a house cat or a dog track, that type of thing.
So have you ever found anything like plant, animal, or insect that was in a habitat that it shouldn't be?
Well, we do have some animals in here. We have a couple animals in here that are not native, and I can show you some. They're right over here. Over here, Cameron, we have a Cuban tree frog. And Working here at the Environmental Center, we get a lot of different phone calls from people that are unsure of things that they find. And so whenever that phone rings, we're always wondering who could be on the other line and what kind of problem might they have. And he was obviously not a native species. He was on a foliage truck shipment to a nursery around here, and when they were unpacking the boxes, out came this tree frog. And he's actually grown up here quite a bit. He's a lot bigger than he was, but we found out that we couldn't keep him with our other tree frog because he gets so large he could eat him. So, you know, if he could naturalize here, if he could live here, we could have a problem with him reproduce, you know, if there was another one on that truck reproducing and then eating our native tree frogs or insects or other things that they might find here that they would like, and we'd lose the species. Another creature that we have here that is not native to Michigan, normally from Australia, is a bearded dragon. And they are very popular in the pet trade, but he obviously, you know, probably would not ever survive here just because he needs the heat. But another one of those crazy detective type phone calls that we get sometimes. We had to go out and find out what this woman was talking about because she called and said, I have this lizard running around in my yard and I don't know what it is.
Interesting. So you could say there are aliens among us and we don't even realize it?
There's a lot of plant species outside that are not native to Michigan, and they're spreading actually across the United States and around the globe, which I can go out and show you some of those too.
All right.
And over here, Cameron, we have a honeysuckle bush that is not native to our area or our state. However, a lot of the shrubs that we have that are non-native were from people buying them at nurseries and planting them in their yard. And eventually what happened is the birds either spread the seeds or people start planting them closer to their woodlots or their woodlands, and then eventually they just start spreading. And the problem is they start taking over. They just keep growing and growing and dropping their seeds or their fruit, and then you have a problem where now you have a big, huge mass of these things. There's also some smaller plants, though, that I can show you further down the trail, and actually a plant that's been affected by an insect. So insects can also be invaders. Over here, Cameron, is one of the smaller plants, not necessarily a big shrub, but a plant that's invasive nonetheless. This one is called a wild parsnip, and so it's, you know, normally people would look at this and think, oh, it's just a pretty leaf. It's got a really cool seed head. But actually, you know, it's crowding out our native species. Again, out here in the fields and the woodlands, we can start losing our native flowers and other native plants. And another problem with this one is it can cause a severe rash. If you get into it and get it rubbed onto your skin, once you know, if you have short sleeves on and you're out with the sun, you can get a really bad rash from it, blistering. And an example of what an insect can do is our stand of ash trees over here. And what the insect is called is the emerald ash borer. And they have come in and actually wiped out our ash trees throughout the state.
So when these new species come into a new habitat or ecosystem, they don't necessarily all come in peace?
Nope. Usually, you know, they're brought over like kind of like the Cuban tree frog on shipments or you know, trucks from other states, you know, in the ballast water of ships when they come through the Great Lakes, and they just find a nice place, nice hospitable place to live, and if they can reproduce here, you know, that they're happy. They don't really care if they're back home or if they're in a new spot.
Well, you heard it here on Y News. Aliens do exist, but they don't come from some galaxy far, far away. There are lots of species in the world, big and small, and if you'd like to get to know them better, you could become an environmental scientist and get to keep track of them every day. For Y News, this is Cameron.
Have you ever been wrongly accused? Do you have a hard time convincing people you're telling the truth?
But I wasn't cheating.
Do you need someone to prove your case?
You better think smart.
If you're innocent, there's nothing to it. They are ready to help you solve any problems. Trust me, they prove that my dog actually ate my homework.
There's no problem we can't solve. Contact us with Team Squad.
Not quite the same, is it? Looks like another one got away.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at that.
Don't speak so soon. Our original suspect might not have gotten away after all. At least not yet.
What, you found it?
Not exactly.
Oh.
But we may have an idea of what it really is. And it's still pretty freaky.
So it's not an alien?
Kind of. But that's a question better left up to the think tank.
The what?
Welcome to the think tank. Think you hooked an alien? This is where you get the information to create a hypothesis about exactly what it is that you caught and what it was doing there.
But I dropped it. How can this thing tell me what it is if I don't have it anymore?
You ever seen a cop show?
Yeah, of course.
It's kind of like that. Load suspect sketch.
Ah! How'd you do that?
Load match sketch.
Wait, that's it. That's what I saw. So what is it again?
Load invasive species report.
That can't be good.
Any organism referred to as an invasive species is a plant or animal that has been introduced to a location it did not originate due to either deliberate or accidental human activity, or commonly known as an introduced species. These species become perceived as invasive once they have adverse effects on the economy, environment, or ecology of the habitat they have invaded.
So in other words, bad?
I don't know. Is that where your investigation is leading you?
I don't know. But that still doesn't tell me what it is, how it got here, and what I can do about it.
Sounds like you've got a lot of questions. Go ahead.
Think tank. What are some examples of invasive species?
While a species consideration as invasive and harmful is relative to the new space it's inhabiting, some common examples of invasive species with negative effects in North America range from a reed like Phragmites, insects like the emerald ash borer, aquatic mollusks like zebra mussels, and other marine life like sea lampreys.
Wait, that's it. What is it again?
Think tank, repeat.
Aquatic mollusks like zebra mussels and other marine life like sea lampreys.
Lampreys. What's a lamprey?
Sea lampreys are a parasitic marine animal. They are more similar in appearance to an eel than a fish, with no paired fins, large eyes, one nostril on the top of their head, and 7 gills on each side. They use their funnel-like mouth full of teeth to attach themselves to the flesh of other fish in order to live off their blood and body fluid.
Think tank, pause. So this sea lamprey got all the way into my little stream, and that's why the fish are disappearing?
Is that your hypothesis?
I guess so. So why would a lamprey hang out in my tiny little stream if it's used to such a big place like an ocean?
It's all yours.
Okay, last question. What type of spaces do lampreys invade?
While lampreys originally arrived and were identified in the Great Lakes in the early 1900s, efforts to stunt the growth of the North American lamprey population through special barriers and lampricides has now commonly confined the species to the streams that feed the lakes.
Think tank and report.
I knew it. I knew it all along. That's why there have been less fish lately. Aliens.
Not exactly scientific, but I think you're on the right track.
So if that's my hypothesis, how do we test it?
I think I might know someone who'd be up to the challenge.
No way. You mean I actually get to do an alien autopsy?
Well, sea lamprey are a very common pest around here. But you have a client, and we have to prove that this is exactly the problem that he has.
Sweet.
You ready?
Gee, I thought we could just stop at Rose's razor sharp teeth and just call it a day.
Pretend it's a perch.
Right.
You know, lamprey is a delicacy in a lot of countries.
I'll remember that the next time I visit the Temple of Doom. So what am I looking for?
Well, as you can see, our subject lacks scales and has a cartilage or boneless skeleton, much like other eel you would find in freshwater and saltwater bodies.
So what sets these lamprey apart from their friendlier, eel-like brethren in the deep?
Well, you already noticed the first giveaway, their mouths. See, lamprey have a circular mouth called a buccal funnel, lined with concentric circles of sharp teeth designed for latching on to host fish and channeling blood into the lamprey's body for up to months at a time.
Terrifying array of teeth, check. But how do we know if blood is really their bread and butter, so to speak?
Thought you never asked. We'll be needing to get a good look at this thing's digestive tract to observe what its diet really is. Ready?
Just one big tube.
No need for a stomach to temporarily store food when you're on a strict liquid diet.
Okay, I'm pretty sure that that's a blood-sucking fish. But don't we also need to confirm how it got there?
Exactly.
Okay, looks familiar, but how does a fish from the ocean get all the way to somebody's backyard stream?
Well, obviously, there's already a system of rivers and tributaries that go first to lakes and then out to the Atlantic Ocean. Add to that all the canals that we humans have built over the years. For example, right here, your client's lamprey probably made his way down the St. Lawrence Seaway, came through this chain of rivers and lakes, and made his home with some big tasty fish to keep himself happy.
No predators to knock him off.
And because of the barriers and traps that they've set up to keep him from going back into the bigger lakes, that lamprey will probably wreak havoc on your client's fishing grounds for a long time to come.
Good, you're here. Come in, please, take a seat. By now, I assume you're familiar with Petromyzon marinus, or the sea lamprey.
Yes. Exactly. Is that what I caught?
Well, you see, things get pretty confused out there with these non-native species. And as much as we like to help every plant and animal, sometimes the fact is that they're just not good for the environment they found themselves in. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Not good.
Every habitat has its breaking point. And right now, that's out there, operating with no decent restraint, with no natural enemies to stop it.
You see, what you need to do is you need to head back to the stream where you originally discovered this specimen. You need to determine its habits, figure out what it's doing, pick up its trail. And when you find the lamprey, capture it by any means necessary and terminate it.
Terminate the lamprey?
Terminate with extreme prejudice.
You know, after all that, I can't believe this time I'm actually trying to catch an alien.
Yeah, seems like this is the one stream that won't be worrying about invasive species.
Yeah. The Department of Natural Resources said they come out as soon as possible and do what needs to be done on their end. But for now, guess it's up to me.
Congratulations.
For what?
Now you're a member of the Think Squad.
Think Squad is made possible by AT&T, investing to bring wired and wireless internet to America's communities, because the future has always been our business. AT&T, your world delivered. The American Honda Foundation, a proud sponsor of Detroit Public Television's Think Squad project and committed since 1984 to improving science and math education for youth across America. To learn more, go to www.foundation.honda.com. And from contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thanks.